Okay, Max here on the boat. I'm going to do a review of the Fablemans. This is a Blu-ray DVD plus digital code. This was bought by my parents. We watched it last night. Um, Slide off the slipcover. Well, I don't need to slide off the slipcover. So the movie we've been waiting for 45 years, Steven Spielberg to make. That's according to Rolling Stone. If you were ever a creative, even if you're creative in your mind and your heart, and you love entertainment, and if you haven't done it yourself, you owe yourself to see this movie. I thought that it was going to be more fictional. I always knew it had something to do with Steven Spielberg's childhood. Even though the characters' names were changed, this is close to a documentary about Steven Spielberg's life as you could get. It's very reflective. Just from the bonus features, he made this right after both his mother and father passed recently, right after the pandemic, or during the pandemic it was being developed, right when he was thinking about, of course, all of us think about our legacy and what we've gone through during that time, interesting time in a lot of people's lives. And I love the challenges that he goes through, how this is something that he wanted since childhood, how life experiences and with his family shaped who he was and what he wanted to do, and even the characters in his own family. And I'm sure we all have characters in our family as well. And I also like that it was very important to him in the special features. There's 3 documentaries on here. It's Fablemans: A Personal Journey, Family Dynamics, Crafting the World of the Fablemans. And even though his family members were far from perfect, and I'm sure we can all experience that as well, he said, it's important to me that I do not make them a villain. A lot of times, Hollywood, based on real life, likes to, the writers, especially if they're not personally involved, like to pick someone out, create them a villain. He said there's no villains in this story. Lots of things happened. Lots of crazy things happened. Also, mental illness, which I think a lot of us out there can understand. Families and mental illness helped shape who he was, and how I still think he appreciates every single moment that led him to where he is. And there's amazing performances from Paul Dano and Michelle Williams. I forget the young actor's name that played young Steven. It's basically young Steven. They call him, I forget, they said Danny. I forget the name. I'm sorry. I slept, This was from trying to remember from last night. Even some very interesting characters in his family that he only met a few times, and how much that impacted. From his very first movie, one of his very first gifts for Hanukkah, spoiler warning, train set, based on one of the first movie experiences he's ever had, the greatest show on earth, based on the circus and then train crash, and how much that impacted him, and how much he wanted to dive deep and figure things out. There's also some hints in here. Look for the horizon. Don't go straight on. It's boring as shit. That's a great quote from the movie, and I like that that's even in there. Look out for that. So even if you didn't make all the decisions that led you onto a creative path like Steven Spielberg, you can appreciate it, you can understand, and it's inspiring to all the creatives out there. Definite must see. I like this movie. I think this is Spielberg back on top. Some people think he never left. I think he's had more misses than hits lately, but this is a great one to see. And I agree, movie of the year, even though it was 2022. I would love to watch it again, and I could not wait for special features. I don't know if you'll get those on digital, but wherever you see it, look out for special features. And I would say, based on what they were trying to accomplish with this movie, if I'm going to give it a score, I don't give 10 out of 10s lightly, but I would say based on the overall package, and hearing Steven himself. And it's funny, some of the actors weren't even sure about how much these characters of all this stuff really happened. The majority of this stuff, based on what I can ascertain from the behind the scenes, most of this stuff happened, including some, unfortunate prejudice against Jewish people in his school years. That also happened. And the one way one of the young actresses found out, she said, "Oh yeah, Steven, he has all these pictures in 8mm rolls of his family." And I was like, does my character really exist? And then I saw a picture of him at the prom with a girl that looked exactly like my character. So that's how much and how close. If any of you had any question about how close this follows Steven's life, it's that close. And it was very important for him. And he didn't want to close. He didn't want to stop rolling on this movie because of how much of a journey it was for him, and reflecting on his whole life and family. And his sisters were even involved. They even got some of their mother's jewelry and had Michelle Williams wear it. They even recreated some of the rooms in Steven Spielberg's house, because he did so much as a child documenting that he had all this stuff they could draw from. So that's how closely it is. But I would say 10 out of 10. I can't imagine a better movie. So highly recommend it. And we'll see you guys next time.